Okay, so it's 4:30 p.m. on the 12th of December 2019. I'm quite tired, so I'm not going to make this long. I want to get a bit of a doze before watching the election coverage. But I just want to say a few things about the media influence in this election. As with every election, the print press is in overdrive with their respective agendas, and you get it on the left and the right. Um, I find that actually, I was thinking about this. Al Jazeera had a report on how the election has been influenced by the print press, and it got me thinking about this because in Britain, the print press is still significantly influential, even though it's declined from, say, 10 years ago because the industry is moving from print to online media. So overall sales and circulation has decreased with most national newspapers. They still remain pretty powerful, pretty influential. And what I would suggest is that news media and television media seems to be more regulated than print media. Um, I mean, of course, in theory, there is a journalistic ethical standards whereby they have to report what is factually accurate and cannot make barefaced lies. But there are not really any editorial ethical guidelines within the industry to prevent distortion, certainly not to prevent bias. So I'm just going to show two examples, two of our best known tabloids with both sensationalistic headlines. First of all, the Daily Mirror, which is pro Labour. Today's edition. So it says, for them, vote Labour. And it shows a montage of photos. The NHS, TV licences, our schools, child poverty, Grenville, crime victims, homeless and nurses. So it's suggesting that if you're troubled by all these things, that Labour is the only answer, and the Tories don't have an answer for that, not a valid one anyway. The Sun is kind of regurgitating a headline they had from the 1992 election between Major and Kinnock, with light bulbs. Save Brexit, save Britain. So you get the drift. It shows Corbyn with a dark grey light bulb and lightning striking down the country, and Johnson, it's almost sickening actually, with a light bulb and the country illuminated. Now, just for the record, all of the two, I definitely have a bias towards the Daily Mirror. Not because I'm a Labour man, but because I've always found the Sun to be a nasty rag. Um, I mean, the notion that if Boris wins, we'll have a bright future. I do not trust Boris Johnson and his government to care about the most vulnerable in society. I really don't. I mean, I still have a lot of contentions with Jeremy Corbyn, but Sun journalists, I believe, couldn't give a damn about rough sleepers and about the poor. I really don't believe that it's. Anyway, I digress. There you go. I'm bringing my own thoughts into it because that's the influence that our newspapers have. But the propaganda of both are obvious. So the Daily Mirror is oversimplifying the success that Labour will have, but the Sun is oversimplifying the contrast and presenting a false image of Johnson premiership bringing a great future. I mean, Boris Johnson is an absolutely consistent liar. You could say all politicians lie, but Johnson really has done it to a fine art. I mean, this is a man who got fired from a national newspaper for making up a quote. And you could say, well, that's a one off, but he has a very long track record of barefaced lies. Utterly shameless, actually. And I think a big thing with the Johnson pitch is he hides behind his sort of eccentric personality. Um, I think he's a very slippery character. I don't trust Boris Johnson at all. With Jeremy Corbyn, I don't trust him on issues like national security at all. But in some ways, I actually think he has more personal integrity. Um, I think some of his positions are pretty awful, but I honestly think of the two men, Corbyn is more honest in himself. In in his conviction, I'm not sure Johnson has much conviction. But anyway, I urge you, whatever way you intend to vote today, I'm really not interested in swaying you one way or the other, but I would say please, please, please vote with your conscience. Think it through. Think about which party you genuinely believe will be best for society, not just for you, but for society. And even if you're not as unsettled by the plight of the most vulnerable as others may be, at least consider in your vote, will this party help people who need help in any context? For example, victims of crime, or nurses, or or the homeless, or you know, no government can get everything right ever, but I do fear that we will really go down a negative path if some things don't change in this country. One reason I detest Brexit is because it has distracted from everything else. I don't think the divisions would be as bitter and deep as they are if it wasn't for this Brexit mess. I really believe that. And one can be forgiven for thinking that Cameron should never have called that. But anyway, that's history. What can you do? Anyway, whatever way you vote, do not let these arrogant editors of national papers think that they control the votes. This election belongs to the British people. It shouldn't belong to the editor of the Sun or the Mirror or any other national paper. Um, but the thing about the tabloids, especially, is the hyperbole that they use. You can read both. According to the Daily Mirror, if Johnson wins, we will implode, and according to the Sun, if Corbyn wins, we will implode. Both are wrong. Although I will say that I absolutely don't trust Johnson on helping the most vulnerable in society. I don't trust his party. So when it comes to social compassion, I'm definitely, definitely more pro-Labour. I think it's in their DNA a lot more than the Tories. I think with the Tories, it's all about business and profit and enterprise, and that's fine. Those things are important. But, I mean, the Sun, for example, warned that stocks will fall in the city if Corbyn wins, but that just shows where the priorities lie. Never mind nurses, never mind the homeless, never mind the poorest in society. Oh, we need to worry about the City of London. So there's something fundamentally rotten about that sort of conservative thinking. And I get the argument that Britain is, we have a world financial centre. But fundamentally, I think the conservative mindset is not for those worse off. I just haven't seen any evidence that the Conservatives, including the rags that support them, care about the most vulnerable in society. I'm not talking about individuals here. I'm talking about the direction of the party. Anyway, please, I should say, incidentally, the Daily Star, I've picked up a lot of newspapers today, are kind of taking, I mean, they never take things particularly seriously, but they have a choice between two clowns. See how the Metro covers it. Picked up a lot of national papers today. The Metro is actually now our leading national paper. It's surpassed the Sun. So here is Merry Christmas, the Going by the Slade song. Here it is Merry Christmas. Da, 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 da. Already dark out there. I hope the turnout isn't overly affected. The Eye has a good cover. It's not overly sensationalistic. It's just straight to the point. Britain's future, you decide. So nice and neutral. Fair play to them. The Times is leading on here. Big picture of David Bellamy, the naturalist. So they have coverage of the election inside, but he passed away at 86, so they're leading on a photo of him. No copyright infringement intended. I'm not going to monetize this one, so yeah, no copyright infringement intended. This is The Economist, like this one. Anyway, if you haven't voted yet, please, please, please just think it through. If nothing else, this is so important. So please think it through. Think about your local candidates. If you know anything about them, if you don't, think about the national situation. And just vote with your conscience. I can't tell you how to vote, and I don't want to do that. But please, just think with your conscience and let that direct your vote. Not who you think is going to win anyway, or not who your family vote for. Just because I think there are some people out there who do that. And that's very disconcerting. That there are people who don't think it through. I mean, it's a damning indictment if more people watch certain reality TV shows than vote in a general election. So please, please, please do vote and vote with your conscience. Thanks for watching.